another bang. All them having cars now, whichever get up. Light up my scars with a sweet one bliss. Someone flips me a bag it up. Say, oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
All right, y'all know what time it is. It's Kappa Facts Friday with me, Capital Kevin, brought to you by iBoxing Hub, sponsored by D-Rock. Y'all make sure you head over to D-Rock Clothing and use that code iBoxingHub24 for 40% off. Trade in that Adidas musty tracksuit that you got, that nasty Nike tracksuit, the Adidas, and go get you some sweet clothes, man. I got today a couple topics we're gonna be talking about, and I got Will. I just met recently Will in a Rico boxing space. We was going back and forth as you know I do. That's what I'm known for, is arguing with people online. And I'm gonna have a guest today too, two-time UBO world champ. I see he's coming up. We got the two-time UBO world champ Noel Echevarria as a panelist today. What's going on, man? We see you in there in the tabernacle. My man must not hear me. Oh, you do hear me? Okay, cool. Got you. All right, so we're gonna be talking about a few things today.
I have my mic muted. My bad.
Got you. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. I just letting them know that you the two-time world champ. You know, for the UBO at 135 pounds. Am I right?
Yep.
All right, perfect, cool. So we got a couple things to talk about. Jake Paul, Tank Davis, no surprise there. We're gonna be talking about Canelo Crawford as it's getting closer to the fight. What's that looking like? We're gonna be talking about TKO, man. You know, is Dana White gonna be taking over boxing with that new promotion? Frank Sanchez, we're gonna be talking about him. We're gonna be talking about Daniel Dubois, Alexander Zayas, and we're gonna roll from there, man. So let's kick it off. Let's talk about Jake Paul versus Tank. Now, off air, Will, you was telling me something. You was asking me, do I think that Tank can really do something to Paul? And I'm thinking, yeah, actually, I would like Noel's point of view. Like, yeah, we have a bigger guy in Jake Paul, but you're talking about a walking weapon in Tank Davis. Like, the dude's experienced, dude been fighting since he was young. He's got lethal hands. And my thing, and maybe correct me on this one, Noel, like, yeah, Jake Paul is bigger, but the stance, the foot positioning, you just because you got weight, that doesn't mean that you know how to use the weight and transfer it into power. You got me? What you think?
Well, there's a difference between thinking and knowing, but you gotta remember, Jake Paul is how much heavier than Gervonta?
A lot,
right? Okay, so in a street fight, no, it doesn't matter. Weight doesn't matter. In boxing, it does. Why? I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you got somebody that's 180, 200 pounds sparring with other guys who are 180, 200 pounds, a guy that's 135, 140, 145, maybe 50 at the max isn't going to hurt a guy walking around 180, 200 pounds. On top of that, Jake Paul, everybody clowning Jake Paul, but at the same time, Jake Paul is doing more than all you clowns are talking about. So there is that. He does actually train. He's not out of condition. Now, if he was out of condition, okay, you can make the argument that Gervonta Davis could do something to him. But because he's in good condition,
Hey, Will, when he said clowns, he was talking to you. Just
Sure.
letting you know. I'm training. I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm in the gym training. I'm doing Noel, what you told me to do, the 30-30. I got a trainer. I'm heading to the gym next week. We got a gym up here at the 219. Guy is 6'1" with Edo Cho. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I know you ain't talking about me. We gotta be talking about Will.
Go ahead, Cap.
I'm definitely training. I'm definitely training. I don't know who he talking about.
Captain Cap.
I don't know who he talking about.
But
Will,
no, the thing is that You never had a fight before.
No,
Like,
don't. But it's coming. Hey, just like you was repping on me, like, oh, you
Hold on,
not.
time out,
Hey,
time out, time
I
out,
just
time
started
out.
my master's program, so I don't want to hear nothing, bro.
Time out.
I just started my so I'm on your bumper because you talked to me
Hold
about
up.
not being in college. I'm getting my master's program. You talking about I ain't win professional yet? Got you. When I get my first fight, don't say nothing. When I win my first belt, don't say nothing to me.
Hold
Go
up,
ahead.
hold up, Kev. You're telling me, wait. So I remember we were talking earlier. You only have street fight experience, right?
No, I got gym experience. I got I'm 2-0 on
He's a
amateurs,
bum. He's a
and I got
bum.
and I've been in gym since like 16. I'm 33 right now. I've been in boxing on and off.
Well, no, what I mean is you've never had a professional bout, right?
Correct. Yeah, never been professional.
Okay, I've never had a professional bout either. Here's the thing. It is 100% different when you step into the ring professionally because the rules are different. There's a lot more things that are allowed, some things that are more looked down upon, but at the same time, you're in an actual, you're in a scrap, bro. So, like,
No, for sure.
when you look in the history of boxing and you see people like Sam Langford, Mike Tyson, I apologize. When you look back and at the giant killers, like have you ever heard of Dwight Muhammad Qawi?
No, I've not heard of him. No,
Yeah.
I haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
He was a former light heavyweight champion. He stood at 5'5", believe it or not, and he was a beast. This guy knew how to use his reach. He knew how to use his every inch of his body to his advantage because dudes would have to come down to him. It worked for a long time, but over time, eventually he ended up in the ring with Big George Foreman, and he put on a really good show against him. The problem is that George is a natural heavyweight, and even though he could keep him at range and he was actually catching him on the end of some shots, yeah, he still quit in the 9th round. All I'm saying is that Gervonta, when he gets in there with a bigger guy, it's not going to look the same like it has been with his other fighters. Even going so far as to say Mario Barrios, because if you look at Mario, he is a bigger fighter, yes, but like you were saying earlier, it does matter with skill. If you put two guys in the ring and one is more skilled than the other, of course you're going to see a difference. But that weight, that height, that reach, that all matters.
You got to know how to use that though, man. You can't just like, you got to know how to use these things. You can't just have more weight. You got to know how to use the weight and transfer it to power. You've got to know how to move. You've got to know how to make adjustments.
Know what you're talking about?
Oh, so I'm not saying the truth. I'm not saying the truth.
No,
you got to know how to just because you got long arms.
Listen,
just because you look, this is what Jarrett Hurd had this issue.
How tall are you?
5'10".
Okay, how much you weigh?
160 right now.
Okay, that's like that. Okay, that's like taking. No, because I can't even say that because you ain't had no fights.
Bro, forget that. Forget that.
No,
Jarrett Hurd, watch. Jarrett Hurd.
Forget that, bro.
Jarrett Hurd
that for a reason because experience in the ring counts. You can't.
It
that's
does.
That's like saying you could get in the ring with me and hurt me. Like I will blow you out the water,
bro. You wildin'. You
wildin', bro. I got 27 pro fights, bro.
I know, and 7 losses. I know.
And
I would have been the 8
knockouts. 12 knockouts, bro. I will break you in half.
I would have been the 8th. I would have been your 8th loss, fam.
No, bro, your head would have been buried in the ground.
I would have been there. I would have got you out of there. Listen, we back. Jarrett Hurd. We all know fighters that have certain skills, like have certain advantages that don't use them.
Okay.
All like Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd, what? Big fighter, long arms, always fighting on the inside. Didn't keep people on the outside. Right. So just because you have certain attributes about you, that doesn't mean that you know how to use them. You've got to, and it takes time to know how to use them.
Gervonta Davis is a midget compared to.
I think we have that established, bro. I know we got that established. I'm saying just what like, yeah, Jake Paul. I'm not ragging on Jake Paul. I'm not ragging on him. I think he's training. I think he's serious. I just know that Noel, for example, like you just said, right? You talking about a dude that been doing this since like 10 years old in Gervonta Tank Davis, and he is now almost 30, versus a Jake Paul who just started, has
He's been
very low.
fighting.
I
He's
know.
been
I
fighting.
know.
Like
Listen,
you,
I
who's
know.
but
But
who's a gym bum? You're a gym bum. Este tipo, ¿cómo se llama? Jake Paul, he is an actual fighter. There's a difference between somebody who's talking it like you know, you wanna box, you know, I'm gonna, you will be 40 years old and I'm gonna, compared to somebody that's actually doing it actively.
Right. Like, get off me, and get on the topic, because you talking too much about me in this boxing community. And right now in the boxing world,
you're the one talking.
I know. So listen to what I'm saying and follow me. Follow me. Okay. We talking about fighters, bro. Don't sit here and act. Don't sit here and act like the UBO is the world's greatest. It's not one of the four, big dog. You need to cut the cap. UBO is not, stop it. You are not a major world champion in the boxing world. You can
hold up. I disagree vehemently, because those titles mean something to them, because this is prize fighting, bro. He may not be fighting for WBC, but that is still something.
With you.
I'm never gonna hold a belt like that, bro. I do appreciate guys who go out there.
I appreciate
them,
bro.
Like this.
I know 10 sanctions. No. I appreciate him, Will, but you talking to a guy who doesn't. He only reps the UBO. Every other sanctioning body that's a minor.
I've never fought for a BC myself, bro. I've never fought for a BC myself. I know you haven't fought for a BA.
Listen to what I'm saying. You're not listening to me.
I can drop
8, bro. I can drop 8 sanctioning bodies right now that are minor. You talking about?
How you gonna trash me? Bro, but you ain't even fought 4 rounds yet.
Because you just trashed the World Boxing Bureau on Instagram the other day. Will, this dude, I was on Instagram the other day and I was repping the WBB. I was showing them their flowers. This dude gets on and literally craps on them because they're not on BoxRec. He doesn't have any respect for them, even though an up and coming prospect and Kisser Golden. It doesn't matter, bro. You're going against what Will just said.
Bro, you don't know boxing. I know boxing. There's a difference between somebody who knows boxing and somebody.
Oh, so now we can't talk about. Hey, you hear him, right? Will, we can't say nothing because we never been in the ring.
No. That's not what he's saying. No, we're not. No. I think what he's trying to say is that, yeah, you can have an opinion about Gervonta being a very skilled fighter, but at the end of the day, I've never fought 36 minutes at a time with a minute rest between rounds. That is actually taxing on the human body. That's not something to just, brush off. They're going for 8. So that's what? 24 minutes?
But we can still have an opinion, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
But what I'm saying is you're not going to get up here and act like you've been a major world champion and crap on everybody who has an opinion, because that's not the case. You're also not going to get on here. Hold on, Will. Because you weren't on Instagram the other day, Will, where he was going off on the WBB, which is a minor sanctioning body, and told them that they are worth absolutely nothing, that their belts are trash, and they're not on, and because they're not on BoxRec, they're nothing. So you don't know the backstory, Will. He's just. Bro, that just went against what you just said, Will. That just went against what you just said.
I know boxing business. You can't sit there and tell me
nobody is discrediting you for that. Did anybody say we discredit? We're not discrediting you for that. We're not discrediting you for that.
Something else, bro.
But here's the thing. Like, these belts they do have relevance. Like, you're not. Here's the thing. What he's talking about is
tell him that he don't believe that.
The minor sanctioning body might not carry enough weight to get you a major payday, or at least something substantial, because you got to remember, people don't fight for these belts on the cheap. Sometimes they lead to a major payday. Like, WBC is so prestigious only because it does get them a major payday. Unfortunately, not everybody has the ability to fight for one. That's why you get belts like the UBO. That's how things. Even the IBO would be a little bit more preferable to some of these other sanctioning bodies, because it's
kind of.
No, it's not kind of. It is the #1 independent minor world title. It's linked to the IBF.
Look, listen. I'm out. Shut the hell up.
Man, get out of here, bro. Get out of here. Literally, just get out. Just get out of here, bro. Just get out of here. This dude is crazy. Will, like, are you listening? Are you listening?
No, I was, but I don't understand. Okay, so
Here's his point. He is a 2-time UBO world champ. I respect all. I'm the first one to tell. I can name 10 minor world sanctioning bodies. I can name them: the WPBF, the UBF, the UBO, the IBO. I can name the WBB. I've researched all these minor sanctioning bodies. I'm good. The World Boxing League, the PFA, the WBF, the World Boxing Federation. I can name them. All those guys with those belts are somebody to me because I know that it takes effort. I've been in the ring. I've sparred.
No, that's not what we're talking about. We're not saying that they're not.
I'm giving you his backstory, right? He reps the UB. He just told you that he does. He's like, oh, the IBL, kinda. Bro, what do you mean?
Yes,
it's literally
because
it puts you in line with the IBF.
Bro, trust me, I love the IBF. It's my favorite belt. But here's the problem. Sometimes these fights don't lead into the money that these guys are looking for because
it's not about the money. It's about the respect.
Trust me, it's all no. You can get respect, bro. You can get respect, but you're also looking for, like, especially today, you're looking for a payday.
I get you.
In the business of prize fighting, all these guys get in there because they're trying to fight for the prize, the most money. I mean, Jack Dempsey, Mike Tyson's favorite fighter, he was called the Manasseh Mauler because he came in there to knock your head off, but he was also somebody looking for the biggest payday.
But what's that have to do with Noel, bro? What does that have to do with what Noel is talking about?
Because
you understand that the energy that he's bringing on the show is, oh, we can't have an opinion. We don't know where to. Bro, don't sit here and tell me that just because a fighter has weight that he knows how to use the weight. Don't tell me that. Bro, you got to know how to use your assets.
But you also got to know that, all those advantages that make you, that help you fight on a different level, because 135 is completely different than heavyweight. Heavyweight is a whole different beast than other sanctions of boxing. Like, you got the cruiserweight division, which is, you could argue, is very comparable because it's like junior heavyweight in reality. But, whereas in other divisions, you can see these guys fighting with more skill and finesse. At heavyweight, you could maul through somebody with sheer power. Like, you see it all the time. Some of the best heavyweight champions in
I just
history
don't know how you can back. I don't know how you can back anything that he set up. He literally just
because
on my Instagram. Okay, let me tell me if this is right. Minor sanctioning body, World Boxing Bureau, right? Post something that I posted, and this dude gets on and says those belts are whack. They have no weight. And they're not on BoxRec, so they don't matter. Do you feel like that's okay?
I think as somebody who is a prize fighter for a living, he has a right to have an opinion. Like, some of these organizations are not going to get you the same amount of money fighting for them as you would other sanctioning bodies.
Well, he's a retired fighter. He is not fighting anymore. Listen to what I'm asking. Do you feel like across the board, let's be real, the only belts that matter are the 4. Everything else from there, we don't even know. It holds the same value. It's not like you're not even considered a real world champ when you win the IBO. You're going to be considered a real world champion when you win the UBO.
Here's the thing. Not every one of those minor sanctioning bodies are going to get you to a title. Teofimo Lopez, for example, had to collect all the regional belts before he got a shot at Lomachenko. Actually, even before that, when he had to fight, what's his name? He knocked him out in 2 rounds. You know who I'm talking about? The former IBF champion.
I think it's major disrespect. And there's no way, I don't think anybody should be able to defend. There's no way. I don't care if you work for the UBO. I don't care if you work for the I don't care who you work for or who you represent. You don't get on somebody else's page and disrespect another sanctioning body just because they're up and coming. That's total disrespect, bro. You don't do that.
Bro, everybody kicks everybody when they're down or when they're just starting out in this business. I don't know if you noticed, but
to take a crap on the boxing community because we've got an opinion. Oh, we have, bro. If the only people that can commentate are the people that have actually been in the fight, bro, let's just shut the show down right now. Just shut the show down. Everybody should just stop. Showbiz don't fight. Two-Tone don't fight. The boxing voice, none of them guys is professionals. Stop acting like we can't give an opinion because we ain't been. Some of us done sparred. Some of us done win amateur. Yeah, we're not professionals. Yeah, I want to go professional. Yeah, I want to win a minor belt. Now all of a sudden I win a minor belt for a WBB because I'm 33 coming off the couch, and now you still got a comment to say like, oh, my belt don't matter because it's not a UBO. Bro, stop. You will lose 90% of these dudes on this show in the community because we all got jobs. You can't tell us we can't commentate. ESPN, them dudes commentate. They don't play football. They don't play basketball. They don't play them sports, but they commentate. We the only team, bro. We the only community where you gotta be in the sport. You gotta be an ex-player. Man, stop it. We gonna give an opinion because we be in gyms. We talk to trainers. We listen to the commentary. Just because we're not professionals, that don't matter.
Look, no, but you have to understand something though, Kevin. Look, there is a reason why there are great fighters in the sport that will do anything to get a title shot. I mean, look at Robson Conceição, for example, when he had to fight Oscar Valdez after he popped. Like, he didn't have a choice. Like, this dude came from Brazil. And in Brazil, there are not that many fighters who actually can make it big. You're talking maybe one great champion in the whole of the sport. Like, there's nobody else in Brazil who can make a claim that they're better than Robson Conceição right now. That's how talented this guy is, and he still had to take that fight because you don't get that very many opportunities. And thank God Top Rank was loyal to this guy to get him more title shots because he was able to become a champion when he beat Foster. The problem is with what you're saying is that you think all sanctioning bodies are made equal. No, that's not how this works because look, I mean, even though I praise the WBC for giving this guy a shot, don't get it twisted. Dillian White still had to wait over 1,000 days to get his title shot. These guys will fuck you over. But the point that I was making earlier, the WBC leads these guys into a better payday than some of these other sanctioning bodies. And some people don't even want to take the risk in lower weights to fight in the IBF because there is a 10-pound catch weight unless it's a unification.
Bro,
you're following with what I'm saying, right?
I'm following, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about the respect. You like the only, again, I'm going to say it again, the only belts that matter and consider you a world champion in the boxing world are the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, and the WBC. Those are world. When Stephen Fulton won that IBO and he was saying he's a world champ, everybody said, no, you're not. You're only a world champion if you win the 4. So every other belt, you're considered a minor world champion, and they don't even give you world champion status. That's why Chris Eubank, they keep harping on him about, bro, you never won a real world title. 2-time IBO champ, 2-time WBA interim, but he's still not a world champ. So
Absolutely
what I'm saying is,
not.
You don't have to agree with it. I'm just letting you know that unless you win one of the 4, you're not considered a world champ. Even though if you win a minor world title, it don't matter what sanctioning body, to me, you're a world champ. You're considered a world champ. And you don't have the right to come up here and bag on one sanctioning body just because it's on BoxRec when you know damn well you got to pay money to be on BoxRec. It's not about prestige and value. It's about money. You pay that bag, you get on BoxRec. Some of these sanctioning bodies, they don't have the bag to be on BoxRec, but they're on Fight Factz. Oh, that's another thing you don't know, that he was ragging on Fight Factz. Like, Fight Factz don't matter. Nothing matters to him. Nothing. If you're not UBO, he even said it right here, bro. He's like, oh, the IBO, kind of. No, the IBO is the #1 most important minor world title, period. And it puts you in line with the IBF. I'm not saying, I'm talking facts. It does. It does put you in line with the IBF, period.
Okay, but here's what you're not understanding. But it's not that I don't get what you're saying. I respect it. The problem is, though, with your logic is that while you sit there and say that Chris Eubank Jr. should be recognized as a world champion, I completely disagree. When the WBO did not have a higher status than it does today, don't forget he went through hell and fire to get to that WBO belt when he knocked out my favorite fighter, Nigel Benn, in one of the best fights I've ever seen. But do you read by any small chance, Kevin?
Do I what?
Do you read?
Yeah, I read for sure.
Do you? I mean, as a pastime. Like, if you don't, if you like audio,
I read a lot of information. Yeah, I read books. You don't see this like look behind me.
No. The reason I ask is because there is a quote that I love. Niccolo Machiavelli once said that it is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. And there is so much truth to that, because at the end of the day, the reason why we look so highly at the WBO, the IBF, the WBC, and the WBA is because of the men who have held those belts, the prestige of those men whose faces are on those belts. I get what he's saying, because, there's not a one size fits all avenue to every fighter who goes into the game. And sometimes fighting for these minor belts is not going to get them what they want. And you have to understand, when these guys are fighting in an actual fight, a 4, a 6, an 8, it takes a toll on their body. They're trying to get to a title as quick as possible. And I mean, that's how the game's always been, get to the prize as quick as possible. Some guys, they don't have that option, because this is all they know. Like, this is pretty much like how some people will go to school to be a welder or, a bricklayer or a carpenter. That's what this is to these guys. This is a skill and a trade that, is supposed to.
Yeah, bro, but watch. Like, these belts, first of all, it's the disrespect, bro, because you don't talk to him like I do. I talk to him well, bro. I'm in text messages. Literally, bro, he just told me straight up yesterday, he's like, I don't want to be out there with a bunch of men gossiping about boxing who don't know anything about boxing. It's the attitude already. Like, oh, we don't know nothing about boxing. So, like, we can't commentate because we don't fight, we can't commentate, right? So, Will, you might as well just shut it down. Stop talking about boxing because you don't know anything about boxing. He's directing it to me, but he's directing it to you too.
Well, for one thing, I might be able to say that I picked Rolly Romero to beat Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, but you don't fight, so you don't know anything about boxing, so you can't even say that.
But hang on, I'm still the same guy who said that. Well, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I get the names mixed up, but I remember when David Benavidez fought at 168. He was supposed to fight former 160-pound champion. Sometimes I get some of the names confused, but anyway, I remember when I picked against David Benavidez and he completely destroyed him in a matter of rounds. And that is because I didn't know what I was looking at. I was looking at a former champion who moved up, and I figured that because he was more of a slugger, and so was Benavidez, that he could catch him between shots, but I didn't know how shot this particular fighter was, right? David Lemieux. When he fought David Lemieux, I picked David Lemieux to beat David Benavidez. So when he says that you don't know about boxing because you haven't been in that ring, it's because he speaks from experience. And that's not being rude, I don't think, because it's not like you can tell me you're a welder, right? Because I've actually welded on aluminum before. Like, anybody can pick up a torch and say that they're a welder, but I actually did it for 6.5 years. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to see it from your point of view, but I can't, dude. I can't, for some reason, understand.
Because
like, you know how you can get up. I don't understand how you can get up just because, like, you're a professional, like, and just rag on people who haven't been professional, who have an opinion, who commentate respectfully, right? I don't know how you can do that, bro, because if that's the case, 90% of the boxing community, probably 90 plus, would have to stop giving an opinion and commentating. And this is like, again, there's like, look at ESPN, them dudes on the panel who discuss, the sport, a lot of the sport, they don't do football professionally. They don't do their sport professionally, but you don't have to, like, I can give an opinion because I've been around in gyms. I've been around trainers. I've been around professional fighters. I talk to professional fighters. I can give an opinion based on something that they've said to me. yo, this guy might be big, but he doesn't know how to use his assets. I can give an opinion based on what I've seen. Just like Jarrett Hurd, they said it all the time. He's big, he's strong, he's got long arms, but doesn't know how to use them. Just because you have assets, that doesn't mean you know how to use them. That's not wrong for me to say that. You know, like, just because you got feet, that don't mean you know how to use them. Just because you got feet, well, that don't mean you know how to dance. So I'm giving critical analysis. I'm saying real stuff, and you going off like, yo, you never been in a fight, so you know, man, stop it.
No,
Bro,
no,
that's
no,
like, stop it.
Hey, Kevin, bro, I appreciate the passion, I do, but that's not what I'm saying at all. Like, you have a lot of good points. I don't want you to think that I am disregarding you in any way, because I really do think that those are good points. The thing is that my point of view is not that you can't have an opinion. My point of view is that boxing is the sweet science of bruising. So you have to have theories. You have to have certain formulas in your head of how you think this fight is going to go. And I know it sounds complex when you say it like that, but listen, do you prefer the jab? Do you prefer the hook? Do you prefer the footwork? Do you prefer the head movement? Do you prefer the punch selection? When you look at a fight, you have to look at it from an objective point of view, separate from how you feel about certain people. So when you are a fan of fighting, you see the beauty in the technique, you see the beauty in the game plan and what these guys do to get to the W. But at the same time, like, there is a fine line between criticism and analysis and understanding something, because even Sun Tzu once said that it is possible to know how to get to victory without actually doing it. You can know how to fight without ever having thrown a punch, in the same way that you could, claim you know how to write a book without having published a novel a day in your life. Does that make sense?
No, it does. But you also got to understand why I brought the guy up in the first place, because we don't fight. We don't fight. We're not professionals. So I brought you up here because you are the professional. Why don't you tell us, since we ain't never fought? Oh, if we saying something wrong, correct us. No, correct us.
The problem is that, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because I do love these guys, but a lot of these guys today cannot handle criticism. And I think a lot of them don't really know how to talk to people in the same way that, how
my man
Roy
just
was,
hates the boxing community because the boxing community hasn't been good to him. That's what that was. He straight up told me, like, yo, I don't want to be up here talking gossiping with a bunch of dudes that don't know about boxing. Well, guess what? This is most of the people that do media. Ellie Setback ain't never been in a ring. He don't fight.
No, dude. I apologize. No, absolutely not. He has never been in a ring. He probably never been in a real fist fight a day in his life. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I get in a bar fight every weekend, because that's the furthest from the truth ever. But to sit here and say that we don't have a good point when we talk about boxing is disingenuous, because no, like, if you're actually in it to win it, you're going to do whatever it takes to get to the top, right? Because I love the IBF. I know that it has its issues, but if you fight consistently in the IBF, you could become a James Toney, you could become a Roy Jones Jr., you could become a Bernard Hopkins, you could become, shoot, the sky is the limit if you are a hard enough worker, or if you're just skilled. Like, even today, you see a lot of guys like William Skull, for example. Even though he technically didn't win the title from Canelo, he still was able to get an IBF championship. The IBF is not scared about stripping anybody to give somebody a shot at a title. And I love that. Like, I know how it looks sometimes, but I love that. I love seeing guys, rise to the very top, because that's what you're told when you're growing up, is that the cream rises to the top.
Man, we just gotta put respect on these minor sanctioning bodies. We gotta put respect on the media that's taking time to cover these fights. We gotta put respect on people who bring you to their show. You know what I mean? So that you can get your opinion. If you are a real fighter who's a professional, and we bring you to the show. Don't get up here and talking crazy. Get up here with gratitude, like, oh, because we're not fighters. So why don't you correct us? Why don't you show us something, instead of, just throwing dirt on us because we haven't went professional. Like we're not gonna sit here and act like the WBO was always a major sanctioning body. In the 90s, like Mr. Neutral said, it wasn't a major. There was only 3, and the WBO got added in later when it went from I believe a for-profit to a non-profit, and that's the only thing that the IBO is missing. And they've said it before, is when you change from a for-profit to a non-profit, then that would be the 5th belt. The crazy part is, bro, is when you actually do your digging, your investigation amongst these minor sanctioning bodies, a lot of them belts are vacant. A lot of the guys who win those belts are not ranked in the world, or they're very far off, number 100 in the rank. So if I have a sanctioning body right here that's charging me $1,500 for a world title belt, and I have another sanctioning body on my right-hand side who's charging me, $3,000, they're both not on BoxRec. They're both minor world titles. They're both probably vacant, and the boxing world doesn't even consider them a world championship because it's not a major, and nobody knows them out in the boxing community because they're both minors. I'm gonna take the one that costs less, bro. Period. Like, I'm negotiating. And I'm not going to crap on another sanctioning body because it's new or doesn't have that much prestige. It still takes fights to win a world title, whether it's major, minor, it doesn't matter. It still takes fights. It still takes money, still takes commitment. I got to go get 7 amateur fights before I can go professional, according to the state. I was trying to get around that. I can't get around that. So I got to go get 7 amateur fights. So I'm going to go get 7 amateur fights. Then I'm going to go professional. Then I'm going to win a belt. Guarantee you this guy will still find a way to hate on the belt. No matter what sanctioning body I fight for, he will find a way to hate on it because it's not on BoxRec. And we're not going to, the business of boxing. Well, the business of boxing is that the people who are on BoxRec, the sanctioning body, they pay money. Just like the Better Business Bureau, they pay money to the Better Business Bureau to get a good rating. So stop. Like, respect the fighters, respect the media, respect the belt, respect it, man. Dang, like, if you've sparred before, you got some experience. If you spar bigger guys, small guys, whatever it is, you got experience. If you've been around gyms, you got experience. Yeah, you might not be a professional. You might not put a bunch of money, but it's still like experience. I'm just saying, let's respect things across the board. And let's get back to Paul. Let's get back to the topic, man, because that got me heated, dude. I don't know, like that got me heated. I don't know how you can back that up. Honestly, I really don't. It's probably why I brought you on the show.
I see the financial aspect of the sport to them. Like, bro, it's not like, you're getting 9 times out of 10, and I hate to say this, but this is honestly how I feel after years of watching the sport. 9 times out of 10, these guys are just looking to make enough money to retire and, find something else that'll hold them down for a while because they don't want to be in this forever. Like, you got to understand, one of the greatest natural fighters I have ever seen in my life, Wilfred Benitez, was washed up before the age of 30. You know how crazy that is to say? That is an unequivocal fact that I hate saying, because that dude is the youngest world champion in the history of the sport. He was a natural talent from a young age. Up until his retirement, he was, I do believe, was he a 3 or 4? I believe he was a 4-weight world champion from Puerto Rico. But unfortunately, he was washed up before he was 30 years old. Bro, I'm 35. That's how crazy that is to me, that you could be in so many fights and put your body through so much hell that you are like stumbling off a jab because your body has been through so much torture. Like, it blows my mind when I look at records like Roberto Duran, who fought over 100 times, bro. Like, that is not something you will see every day. But no, I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but like, in your opinion, with the Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight,
it's just an opinion, bro. It's not like, you don't know what you're talking about because you never fought. It's just a freaking opinion, dude.
And you are more than entitled to that. And I think that you have a right to express your opinion. Absolutely. You're a fan. You love this shit like I do. And I apologize for my language, but cool. I think that some people, because you got to remember, like, who's the WBC interim champion at 168? Pacheco. Mm-hmm. I don't talk about Pacheco because I watched that dude let his security beat up a journalist who had a milquetoast opinion. And I don't even think it was a bad opinion. I don't even think he said anything bad about him. But his security and Pacheco himself in this interview, if you want to call it that, even said that he was talking about him and he let his guys beat him up. So therefore, I don't even want to talk about you because I can't handle somebody who's emotional and can't handle criticism. Some of these fighters are just like that. And they're not going to understand your point of view because they think that you're persecuting them for not killing themselves more for your entertainment. That's what they're thinking.
Mm.
You're looking at things objectively. You're looking at it like, okay, if I were to get into this industry, I would find a way to make it to the top of my industry and be the very best that I could be. And sometimes you have to, get your hands dirty and work a little bit harder than everybody else to get there. Absolutely. I agree with that. I've been a blue collar worker my whole life and there ain't nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, there's more than one way to get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, and just don't be a hater. That's how you get to the top of the mountain. Just don't be a hater.
But you got to admit, even in the real world, most people get an easier ride than others.
And I'm with you. I know that Noel hasn't had an easy route. He lost to Tevin Farmer, lost to Valdez. I get it, man. I'm with you. It's just like I think as universally, right? Even though that you've won a UBO world title, I think universally everybody would kind of be like, okay, but he's not really a world champion, right? So yes, you fought professionally. You've lost to big name fighters. I think you should be a little bit more humble in your approach when people like us get on and give an opinion, dude. You know what I mean? And especially when we bring you on so that you can give us your professional assessment since you've been in there, right? Because we're not going to act like, the UBO is it's on box rec, but let's be real. Like all those minor world titles are exactly that, minor. And before I was even talking about it in this community, people didn't even know what the hell the UBO was. Let's be real. So we just have to have a little bit more humility when we're talking about these things. But you can give an opinion. I can give an opinion. I gave an opinion. I believe that I've been in the gym. I was at Clinton County Boxing Club out there in Lansing, Michigan when I was in college, just still trying to get back into it. And I saw a guy that was like football built. And then I saw a guy who was probably like 140, like in weight, probably less than that, bro. I'm talking like maybe like 130. I was surprised. This guy that was 130 put a whooping on that guy that was 200 pounds. I think the guy that was 200 pounds, all jacked, looked like Anthony Joshua, had played for the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL. And he just got a whooping on him in like a couple rounds. And that guy's different from Jake Paul because Jake Paul has been fighting. And this is another thing that I needed Noah to understand. I'm not discrediting Jake Paul. I get that Jake Paul has fought. I haven't. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the level of competition that Jake Paul has fought does not, in his short amount of time, does not equate enough, and his weight does not equate enough to beat a Gervonta Tank Davis, who has spent since the age of 10 becoming a national champion in the amateurs, going professional, knocking people out, and he was considered a pound for pound fighter. Now, I have a gap in my analysis because I haven't been in the ring professionally to be able to like know what that feels like. I've sparred, obviously that's different, right? But I also understand that you can create a solid game plan for Gervonta to stay away from that guy for however many rounds. I understand that little guys have a better tank. The bigger guys tire out. Everybody knows that. The skill set is completely different. I understand. And the fact that he's a little guy brings its own advantages, like the gas tank, right? I already mentioned that. But another thing that I know is that people don't take fights they think they can lose unless there's a lot of money there. And let's be real, when they presented this fight to Gervonta, you don't think he said, oh, this is easy money. I'm about to take, yeah. Oh, this is easy money. Easy money. We're going to take that fight. We're going to get that 100 million off him. Easy money. So why are we like, we keep pushing this thing like, oh, the weight. Yeah, the weight is there. but you've got to know how to use the weight. And sometimes the weight is a disadvantage because it can tire you out. And that means that Gervonta can take you into deep waters and put that whooping on you. We're going to see this with Crawford and Canelo. Canelo is not going to come in at 168. He's going to come in heavier. He's got a great gas tank. We've got to see how that weight affects Bud, right?
Hey, I'm very glad that you brought up Bud Crawford. Let me tell you something, man. This is why I think that Jake Paul is going to destroy him. This is honestly, and I'm not even going to pretend like this is theater. This is what I feel in my heart of hearts. Yuriorkis Gamboa went 7 rounds with Bud Crawford, and Bud Crawford said he was the toughest man he ever fought. Gervonta Tank Davis went 12 rounds with a one-legged Gamboa, and nobody said nothing when this guy claimed that he could stop Terrence Bud Crawford in 6. Only so that when Terrence Bud Crawford called him out, he said, just kidding. So you're telling me that he likes his chances against a heavier, longer fighter in the Jake Paul than he did with Terrence Bud Crawford at 147, who was killing himself to make weight.
I don't know. Styles.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what, I know that Yuri was younger when he fought Crawford than when he fought Tank, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It is what it is. Like, both of them capitalized on the weakness of Gamboa, man. Gamboa just, his defense oftentimes was flawed. He was considered chinny, Did
you know that there are some people who consider him more chinny than Amir Khan? Some people will even point out, bro, he's got knocked down more times than Amir Khan has in his whole career.
But he hasn't also, but you got to understand, like, Khan has been knocked out cold.
Yes, he has.
Gamboa has not.
Yes, he did. He's been stopped twice. He got stopped by Bud Crawford. He got stopped by Gervonta Davis.
Bro. That was a TKO. I believe that was a TKO.
I'm not. And I don't want you to get it twisted. Gamboa is solid. As a matter of fact, that dude deserved every accolade he ever got. But it's not his fault. Like, that dude lives a religious life, not like religious, but when it comes to the gym, like you're saying, he's in there all the time. He don't even drink. This Cuban loves boxing. But even with that being said, he's also been handed, a rough hand in life. He had to fight who was in front of him. He had to work his way up like everybody else. And the most that he got, I do believe, was a regular championship. But that doesn't take from the...
No. He won like 2 belts, bro. He unified. He's been a 2-time world champion.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, like, in terms of when you're talking about quality of competition, I feel you. But there is a certain level of difference when you look at, for example, you look at a Gamboa and then you go look at Jake Paul, and you notice that while he hasn't fought anybody who is to the level of acolytes as some of these lower weight fighters, you got to admit he did fight and beat Anderson Silva, who beat a world champion in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It may not seem like a lot on paper, but you have to admit, for somebody who's never fought for a world championship, he did beat somebody who did beat someone of renowned, and he even beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a former champion, just recently. If you want to say that he's never really fought anybody who's held a legitimate belt, that's a fair criticism. He's only fought former champions, but at the same time, these guys are bigger, stronger, longer, and it's a different game up there. Like, you're going to be in there with somebody who's going to be able to hurt you just by hitting you on the arms. I don't think Gervonta has ever fought somebody with that kind of power. You could say Pitbull Cruz has that concussive kind of punch, but you cannot say that if you put Pitbull up there with, for example, a Zurdo Ramirez, he's going to do to Ramirez what, he was able to do to Tank. I don't see that. You're never going to see, in our lifetime, I fail to see somebody who starts at lightweight and goes to heavyweight like a Sam Langford. I'm just saying.
The psychological factor is there, bro. Like, you think Jake Paul is gonna come out the get go like, oh, yeah, I got all this weight, yeah, I'm about to blaze him, bro. Stop. He gonna look at that man across and like, yo, I know he's little, but it just takes one. It just takes one. And he's also counting on the fact that he doesn't tire out because he is 200 pounds. And that's a lot of weight to carry over however many rounds are going to fight. Bro, I'm a smaller guy and I get tired. Imagine carrying 200 pounds. We know that those guys fade out pretty early on. So, he's got all the psychological, he's got all the pressure of man, this is gonna be a tough fight. I gotta catch him. He can land one. He's got better reflexes than me, got better feet than me, he's quicker than me. Like, it's all Jake Paul has an uphill climb. And yeah, Jake Paul could land one, but man, if you're Tank and you can see the punches coming from a Lamont Roach, a Gamboa, a Pitbull Cruz, bro, you don't think he can see the punches coming from a 200-pound man? Of course. Those reflexes are crazy. So I think all the advantages are on Tank's side to make this an easy fight, more than most people think it's gonna be.
Hey, can you do me one favor?
What up?
Okay. Can you get on a browser without clicking out?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I want you to go to Google real quick, and I want you to type this in.
What's up?
Type in Sam Langford versus Big John Tate.
Okay. Versus what? Jack who?
Big John Tate. Big John Tate.
Got you. Let's see. There's no record of a fight between famous and Big John Tate. Gotcha.
Go to images.
Yeah. Big John Tate.
Okay. So there should be a black and white photo of two fighters sparring. Like back then they wore sweatpants, long sleeve shirts, and they fought with I want to say 12-ounce gloves, maybe. No, not 12. 4-ounce, 6-ounce. It was pretty hardcore back then, actually, with horsehair. Anyway, there should be a picture of that. Do you happen to see one?
No, I don't see that.
Or okay. So I can't I have okay, I might have to send it to you.
Yeah, just make the point though, man.
Yes, I want to make the point. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just want to tell you there is Sam Langford, in my opinion, is the greatest fighter who ever lived because he was a 5'7" dude who was fighting guys over 6 feet tall, and he beat them pretty convincingly. Big John Tate was it was either John Tate or Frank Tate. I might have got that mixed up, so I apologize. If you type in Big Frank Tate, maybe that's it, but he was the sparring partner of Jack Dempsey. There's a story, and you can look it up. Like, you have to actually go to the archives where they have all the newspaper footage. But there's a guy by the name of Fireman Flynn. Fireman Flynn. He was a contender to Jack Johnson back in the day, and after he lost badly to Johnson, he got into the ring with Sam Langford. And, Fireman Flynn, he was over 6 feet. I do believe he was 6 feet himself. Sam Langford knocked him out in a single round and hit him with a punch so hard that everybody in the stadium heard it. This Fireman Flynn, gentlemen, is the only man on record to knock out Jack Dempsey in a single round. That's why that matters. And to bring it all around, the thing is that Gervonta Davis can make the claim that he's an elite fighter, but I know for a fact he was put on the Ring Magazine pound for pound list, beating a contender at a catch weight. And that was before he was even a champion at lightweight. So he technically didn't even fight at the weight that he became a champion in. So when I say that some people have an easier time in the sport getting the big fights, getting the people, getting the sanctioning bodies on their side, I mean that. Like, some people get these shots and I don't even feel like they deserve it. Because you see people like Robson Conceição go in there and fight a close fight with Valdez and get screwed on the cards, in my opinion, because that fight was a lot closer than the judges even had it at the time. And I remember a judge actually went on record and apologized because he understood that when he went back and watched the fight, it was a lot closer, but he still stood on his scorecard because of what he's seen as a professional judge, right? Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent, but I'm just trying to point out that Tank, he's talented. I've always wanted to see him against the best fighters because like there was a time where he was at or around the same weight as Lomachenko, and Loma would have fought anybody. I don't care what anybody says. Like if he would have agreed to fight Loma sooner, they would have fought. It was never him who was avoiding the fight. And because of that, I feel like we were robbed of a potential all-time great fight. But anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent. I just wanted to point out, I don't think Tank is as skilled as people say when it comes to fighting the bigger fighter. He's never proved that he could handle somebody who was not on a diet, not having to sign a weight clause, not having to fight at a catch weight. The bigger fighter usually does good against a good little guy. The skill may not match up, but like I said with Dwight Muhammad Qawi, that dude was incredibly skilled when he fought at light heavyweight and even cruiserweight, because one of the best fights you'll ever see of all time, Evander Holyfield versus Dwight Muhammad Qawi, I believe Holyfield was 8-0, and he still gave us one of the best fights you'll ever see in your life. But when he went up against Big George Foreman, and we're talking about old George Foreman, he still got his ass beat pretty bad.
Yeah, but you're not a professional, so like your opinion doesn't matter. You're a bum.
Well, I feel like I can have
you see how that feels? You see how that feels?
But I
don't feel good. Do it when somebody gets on here and just throws dirt on us like that. Don't feel good. Do it.
No, sir. But at the same time, I'm not discrediting what they're saying about, what they're doing in their industry, because as much as I admire these people, as much as I look up to them, I'm also aware that, they do what they have to get ahead in life.
Sure.
You got people in your own industry who do similar things, and they get, it's unfair. Life is never fair. And if there's any sport that exemplifies that this is what I love about boxing, is that you could actually have a correlation with real life with boxing if you really sit and think about it, because in your own life, there are people who get ahead who may not deserve it. There are people said, everybody says they're great. They're, God's gift to whatever. But for a fact that you could do better. You're always going to find people like that, especially in boxing. People get robbed almost every week. So when you tell me that certain fighters can beat Superman, beat Godzilla, beat King Kong, I have to see it to believe it. And Gervonta Davis has never once showed me anything that could prove that he could hang with the bigger men. You hear Ellie Setback make claims that he beat up heavyweights in sparring. Heck, I even seen him. He tried to say that he beat up Sean Porter in sparring. Sean never denied it, but he never shared the ring with Sean Porter. So you can make all the claims that he could do this and that, but until he's in the ring professionally and does it, I just can't see it. You know what I mean? But we'll see. When the fight comes around, it's free on Netflix if you have a subscription. So I say, let's see what happens. That's the fun of boxing. You can say whatever you want, but come fight night under the bright lights, everybody's going to know if you're full of shit or not.
No, for real. Most definitely. Shout out to everybody who's here. I know Carmi was here. Red Corner Boxing was here. Mr. Neutral, Stay Weight In, Ray Trilogy, Trey from IBH. Appreciate y'all, being with us. I know it's super early. Really appreciate y'all being here with us. So let's segue right into Canelo Crawford, $150+ million bag. Crawford looks like moving up 3 weight classes. I don't know, man. Who do you think is gonna win, dude? I feel like there's a lot of back and forth now. Yeah. Who do you think?
Would you believe me if I told you that I'm a huge fan of both? I love both Crawford and Canelo. I was rooting for him against Spence. I was rooting for Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders. I knew Bivol was going to give him problems, and that also ties into what we were talking about. The smaller fight, a good small fighter will usually get beat by a taller, longer, more skilled fighter, or one that has more power, because if you move up in weight, sometimes that weight doesn't carry over. Yeah, he beat Kovalev, but he still lost an extremely wide decision against Bivol, in my opinion. Canelo is up against a fighter who is around the same height as him. You've seen him when they did the stare off. He's up against somebody you could argue is just as, or just maybe a little bit more skilled than him. You can make any argument you want, but what makes this intriguing is that Bud is a very technical, very tricky switch hitter, and he's not gonna give you tells. Like, yeah, he may not have perfect defense like other fighters. He may not. His power may not carry up, for all we know. He is a very strong guy. I've seen him wrestle, but here's the thing. Every time I've ever seen anybody move up in weight, that body is always a problem. I don't know if you remember when Triple G went up for the third Canelo fight, but Canelo was hurting him so consistently to the body. Everybody was telling me that fight was going to be a banger, and I was so mad that it was a dud, but it just kind of proves what I'm trying to say, that I think as good as Bud Crawford is, as skilled and as technical as he is also the older fighter, 37, going into this bout with Canelo, who's my age, 35. And I think that Canelo is going to be able to cut off the ring because he's not as long or as young and as fast as a William Skull. And I've never seen Bud fight. He can be very defensive. That's not what I mean when I say this, right? He can be a very defensive fighter. He can be a very technical fighter. The problem is that he's fighting somebody around his height. He's going to have to bring it to Canelo because Canelo can cut off that ring, a la Charlo. Actually, another good example. Charlo fought at 154 too, and when he moved up, he was getting beat to the body so bad, he even took a knee.
No, I'm with you. Oh man, where do we kind of go with this? I just think that there's a lot going for Crawford. Like, he hasn't lost. We know he's got dog. We know he rises to the occasion. We also know that he hasn't necessarily fought an elite fighter outside of Spence. He had a great 140 run. The 140 run, which is not his fault. I'm not at fault for whoever is the champion and maybe they're not a big elite person and I got to beat them. Like, the 140 run wasn't the strongest, but he had a 140 run that allowed him to win undisputed. He had a 147 run that was a little lackluster. I mean, he fought an old over-the-hill Mir Khan. You fought Kell Brook, who was already over the hill. Like, he didn't necessarily fight prime guys that we can say, yeah, this is, but he beat one guy who beat Ugas and beat other people to unify those titles and ultimately became undisputed because he beat the guy who rounded up all the belts. So, the real claim to fame is the Spence fight. And we fought Madrimov. We obviously won. It wasn't the best looking fight. We didn't necessarily fight another powerhouse at 154. So now we're moving up to 168. And I heard somebody say this the other day is on a call last night, like, it's not for the payday. No, it's most certainly for the payday. It's most certainly for the payday. Because if it wasn't for the payday, you would just stay at 154 and fight at 154 and be 3-time undisputed at 154 in a weight class that isn't too distinct from the one that you were currently at. You're fighting arguably the most accoladed person at once. You're literally fighting the face of 168. And you can't tell me that it's not for a payday. You're not going to make the type of money fighting anyone else like fighting Canelo. So it's most certainly for the payday. And yeah, I some of it is probably the accolades too, because they'll become a 3-time undisputed world champion. But I still think that there was better matchups for him at 154, Charlo was great. Like, that's a great rivalry because you have the Spence. Now his man's got to get it back in Charlo, and that would have been a great fight. But I don't know. We've seen Canelo fight everyone. I mean, Triple G, Charlo. We've seen him fight all the guys that went, Billy Joe Saunders, Rocky Fielding, guys who had the belts, Callum Smith. We've seen him fight Austin Trout. We've seen him fight Laura. Like, man, there's nobody that has a better run than Canelo, and he's seen it all in the ring. Yeah, sure, he hasn't seen Crawford, but he's just seen so much. That dude is a dog. My man went up to 175 to fought Bivol, lost, still didn't get knocked out, and still put a valid effort on, got blown out, and then came back to 168, right? But we also seen him go up to 175 and knock out the Crusher. Now we could say that the Crusher wasn't the same Crusher that Andre Ward. It's not my problem that I didn't fight the same Crusher that you did. I just fought Crusher that was in front of me, period. So, like, nobody has moved and fought like Canelo, won and lost. And so I just think that he is the best prepared and has all the advantages to win the fight, not to mention he is a dog. Like, you're not going to knock him out. You're not going to really phase him. I just think he's the best prepared, man, to win. I really do.
You ever hear the story of the Rocky Fielding fight?
No, I didn't hear the story of the Rocky Fielding fight.
Oh, wow. So when he was going into the Rocky Fielding fight, the cartels had actually kidnapped his brother. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah. I heard that for sure. The same day that he went to go fight, probably like an hour or two before he actually went into the ring, is when they actually gave the brother up.
Bro, it was incredible. I thought Rocky Fielding was going to give him problems because it was a new weight for Canelo. And I remember looking at them side by side thinking that, that jab was going to give him problems, that maybe, trying to close the distance like you see with a lot of smaller fighters who move up. Nope, that was not even an issue. Dude just went in there and blasted him out. I was so impressed that day.
See, and I think that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, not at all. Go ahead.
I think that plays back into the Gervonta Tank Davis. Like, look, we've seen Canelo's a small guy. He's only like 5'9", 5'10". He's a small dude for the weight class at 168. All those guys are bigger than him. Callum's bigger than him. Bivol was bigger than him. All those guys are bigger than him. And when you look at how he's what?
You said 5'8", 5'9"? No, he's 5'7", bro.
Okay, even better to my point, right? So he's 5'7", and he's got a small frame for that weight class. So the fact that he's been able to do it, and he's an elite fighter, that's why when I look at Tank Davis versus Paul, that's why I make those comparisons, because of that. And depending on how Crawford does, we'll also be able to say the same. Hey, Crawford went up and he didn't get knocked out, and look how he did. So I mean, Spence didn't knock out Mikey Garcia, and Mikey Garcia was a small guy coming up 2 weight divisions. So I think we've seen glimpses of this before. And so that's why I don't want to go back to that. I'm sticking on the Crawford Canelo thing, but that is what I stand on with Canelo and Crawford. I think I know that the weight, again, is going to be the power. Now, it's not the weight, it's the power that Canelo will be hitting you with over 12 rounds.
Yeah, but like if Crawford pulls this off, man, I would put him at pound for pound number 1, because don't forget, he started at lightweight, just like Gervonta, right? But here's the difference between a fighter like Terrence Bud Crawford and Gervonta. If Terrence should win a fight with the 168 undisputed champion, that is 1,000 times more accolades, because he's already a 2-time undisputed champion. Like, there would be no comparison to Crawford moving up compared to Tank moving up. I just, I know Bud's a very skilled fighter, and I know Canelo is a very skilled fighter, and Canelo has fought more guys like Bud than I would even argue Bud's fought like Canelo. But at the same time, boxing is a wonderful sport for this, right? You can make all the theories you want. You could sit here and tell me for years and years that a fight's going to go this way. But It's like Sebastian Fundora when he fought Tim Tszyu the first time. When he got that call that he was getting a title shot because Tim Tszyu was going to fight one time Keith Thurman, I do believe, and Keith Thurman had to pull out. So when Tim Tszyu went into that fight, I knew for a fact that Tim Tszyu was going to have to try to crowd Sebastian Fundora because that's how he trained. He thought he was going to be fighting a boxer, and you would assume with a guy as long and tall as Sebastian Fundora, he would be a boxer. But I think that because he stuck too close to the game plan, that was his downfall. But that's something I knew going into the fight. So even though he was getting his he was getting his butt beat for the first couple of rounds. Once he got too close and cut himself off that elbow, something I didn't foresee, mind you, but I will say, when you crowd a fighter, you are more likely to expose yourself to getting hurt. Because don't forget, when he would go on to fight Bakram versus Aliyev, that's something that Tim Tszyu characteristically is known for. Crowding his opponents too much, sometimes smothering his own work to the point where it works against him. Well, Bakram had a hand injury that day, so he had to use his left more than his right. So that's why he was able to make it look so easy against him. He doesn't normally fight like that, and that's his own through his own admission.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that. I think Bakram needs to do something because
that is not his fault. You can't.
No one's paying attention. You got to get a nickname or something, bro. Like the fact that we got to say Bakram Aliyev is like that's too much. Like we gotta give you a like Baki or something. Like this one. I'm going back to the marketing, bro. These guys are terrible at marketing. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's terrible. It's terrible. We don't know anything about Bakram.
I call him Big Back.
You are the only one. Like nobody knows who Bakram is. Like he can't bring a fan base.
That's not his fault. He's a Russian fighter, and we all
know. Bro, that's 100%. Whose fault is it then? Whose fault is it?
Dude, that is not his fault. You don't.
Whose fault is it?
No, how many fighters have a career like Alexander Usyk, where they could go into your backyard and take your title and take your fans in the same night?
Usyk did stuff like he said stuff. He actually had like a different, like he had the haircut with the one little ponytail. Like he did little things that made him stand out. That was kind of funny. He also said, like, I remember he was a meme for a while. Like there was a couple marketable things, right? Plus he's a really, really great fighter who obviously unified at cruiserweight and undisputed at cruiserweight and heavyweight. What I'm saying is like as a fighter, it's completely your marketing plan is completely your responsibility. You can't tell me that just because you're a Russian fighter that it's not his fault that he doesn't have a fan base. There's Russians in America that you could round up if you would just tap into it, but you just want to fight. And that's cool if you want to just fight, but this is why you're not anyone. Yeah, you're an IBF champ. Look at William Skull was an IBF champ. Who did we care about watching William? We didn't care about watching William Skull, and he had a Cuban fan base. These guys don't tap into their fan bases. Mexico is not the only fan base that has a big fan base. You can get the Russians behind you. You can get Puerto Ricans behind you. You can get Uzbekistan people behind you. You got to tap in.
Bro, I'm going to stop you right there.
Go ahead.
You remember when the other sanctioning bodies, barring the WBA, who actually did the right thing for once, when they stripped every single Russian participant of their status during the beginning of the Ukrainian war?
I don't remember that. I remember the WBC would not,
it wasn't just the WBC, the IBF and the WBO, they all stripped them. And the only one who stood on their square was the WBA. And I've always appreciated them for that because that was messed up. These guys are not soldiers, but I digress. The thing is that what Artur Beterbiev had to do was he had to get a citizenship to Canada, and he was able to build a fan base there because there's a built-in fan base for boxing in Canada because they love a good fight. I've never seen a bad fight in Canada, if I'm being real. Like I used to be very disrespectful to Canadians until I seen how they fight. Them dudes I do love to watch, but I digress. What I'm saying is that you got to admit, in this sport especially, your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses because people will duck and dive you to the ends of the earth. Look at Subriel Matias if you don't believe me. He was also an IBF champion who was easily marketable, and this guy was dangerous. He legitimately killed a guy in the ring, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's a fact. There's nothing that's holding back from being a bigger fighter except the fact that nobody wants to fight him. Teofimo Lopez has used his names for clout more than once, and I hate that. Like, don't you think that
we don't even know a Bakram opponent, bro? Your average consumer doesn't even know a Bakram opponent, bro. Who did he beat to win the IBF?
Did you know that Charlo paid him step aside money 3 times?
No, I didn't know he paid him step aside money. Exactly. That's the point. You're making my point. I'm paying him step aside because I'm not going to make what I want to make with this fighter because he brings no fan base. You're acting like Jerron Boots Ennis didn't go through the same thing when he fought Stanionis. He don't bring no money. He bring a belt. So now we got to pay an extra fee to this guy to get the belt off him because he don't bring no money.
Well, it's the same reason. It's the same reason you see a Virgil Ortiz fight a Lupin instead of a Bakram Murtazalia right now because
Lupin
he
at least brings a little bit more money.
Exactly, that's what I mean. He's more of a name, and that sucks because Bakram is the titleist. But like I said with Subriel Matias, nobody wanted a piece of that guy until he lost to the Australian. Like, I mean, that's just
Brian said, "What the hell Virgil bring to the table?"
No.
He don't bring no belt. He dug Crawford like 2 or 3 times. Virgil got to get in line, man. Blatant. Hey, man, get in line. The lunch line is long, man. Get to the back of the line, man. You got to wait your turn.
Bro,
why you let Xander come and get a title before you got a title?
And it was so blatant when he ducked Bud, dude. Like, how do you go from wasn't he in one organization and he completely and then he went after Jerron Boots Ennis? Yeah, that's what it was.
My man, hey, we serving meatloaf at lunch. Get in line. Get in line for the meatloaf. Because it's a long line. There's a lot of kids that want lunch. Virgil got to do what he got to do. I don't know what he's going to do, but he got to get off of Xander, man. Xander's like B. Norman right now. When B. Norman got the title, we wanted him to fight Boots, and B. Norman did. He stood on business. No, I'm going to fight Cuevas. I'm going to fight this Asian guy. I'm going to fight this other dude. And I'm going to get my bread. And then when the big fight come with Devin Haney, I'm taking it. I think that's what Xander got to do now. Xander just got to, he got to build, man, because he's not a star. Like, as much as I want to, I like him. Like, yeah, Bad Bunny was watching this fight, but he's not a star. He's not a star. Berlanga was a star. Xander's not a star yet.
But here is an unfortunate truth that people have to understand. Xander is still more of a star in Puerto Rico, where they support anybody who's They supported Edgar Berlanga, and you know how I feel about Berlanga.
No, like, for sure.
Like, if Virgil really wanted a bigger payday than Lubin, he should have took the fight with Zayas, in my opinion. I'm not saying that there was even a dialogue open, though. Like, I think a lot of people miss that. Like, what you're supposed to do in order to get a fight is somebody from your gym contacts somebody from their gym, and they open a dialogue that way. Like, I don't even think there was a dialogue open until he posted that email that they sent him. And even then, Xander said, yeah, let's do it in Puerto Rico. And if I'm Virgil Ortiz, I would have took that if I liked my chances. But here's the thing. Virgil obviously does not have the same power at 154 as he had at 147 because, yeah, you can say he beat some very solid names at 147, but at 154, he has struggled a lot more. I think a lot of people would admit that. Yeah, he beat Nadrimov, but did he beat Nadrimov better than Bud? In my opinion, no.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But these guys, this is, when it comes to business, you have to have a marketing plan. No business. It's literally part of the business plan. You have to have a marketing plan. How are you going to acquire clients, right? The clients are the fans. So like, what are you going to do as a Russian to bring more Russian eyeballs in America, where there's potentially more than 1 million people, right? Are you going to Russian festivals? Are you, we got a Russian community. We got a Russian community over here in Chicago. Why aren't you tapping in? Like, you need to go on a press run. You need to, call those people over in Russia to get with their people in America that are Russian and start showing out or something, man. Like, do something. But that's the problem, is like, the guys just want to fight. They don't want to market. They don't want to look at themselves as a business. And then, they don't make enough money, and then they're complaining, and then they turn into these guys that show up today on my show mad at the community. It's not my fault.
Well, hold on there. I understand what you're saying,
man.
But don't forget,
me.
Bakhram Murtazaliev is also no different than Artur Beterbiev. Remember, Artur Beterbiev started on the PBC. He wasn't getting the fights that he wanted, so he got out of his contract and he went to Top Rank. Xander Zayas is exclusive with Top Rank.
That's right.
And so while he may not be the biggest star out there, Top Rank did him very good. They led him into a world title. He is a young world champion. They build up good, solid fighters, and they're also able to garner them a fan base. But at the same time, like, I don't think it's a small feat either that Xander Zayas is a hit in Puerto Rico, because while I did say they do support everybody in Puerto Rico, the sad truth is that you still have to build a name. So he didn't get there by accident. Like Bakhram is doing what he thinks is best for him. I do believe he's signed with Ustek's manager, actually. So it's not like he has bad management. The problem is that when you are trying to seek a fight with Lubin, for example, Lubin, who was knocked out in, 15 seconds by Charlo? He was knocked out by Fundora. Do you think he wants to roll the dice with a Bakhram Murtazaliev more than a Virgil Ortiz, who hasn't proved to be a concussive puncher at 154?
Ryan is tripping, bro. Ryan said Russians are not Hollywood. They just here to win. These dudes don't even care about money. You wildin'. Like, bro, what fighter doesn't care about money? He's literally a prize fighter. Like, he cares about money. That's why he just took step aside. Like what was saying. That's why he took step aside, because if he didn't care about the money and it was about legacy, he would have no, I'm the mandatory. You got to fight me, period. No, but he took step aside money 3 times. Oh yeah, definitely. He's there for them. That's easy money. What you mean you're going to pay me to step aside? Oh, you're going to pay me to not fight? Yeah, sure. That's called Social Security for boxing. But I'm getting income to not fight.
Here's the caveat to that, though. Here's something that you might be missing. Charlo was trying to unify and become undisputed at the time. And ever since he beat Castaño, he never, to my knowledge, defended his undisputed championship. So that's why.
Ryan is showing. Hey, tell Ryan what you told me about the step aside, because he don't know anything about the step aside money.
Oh, Bakhram Murtazaliev took step aside money. I want to say 3 times. He may have took it 2. I could be wrong about the actual number 2. It's either 2 or 3. It was when Jermell Charlo was trying to unify and become undisputed. He had a mandatory with the IBF, and everybody who knows anything about the IBF will usually strip you. However, because they were unification bouts, they gave him leniency.
Bro, Bakhram is not the bag. Stop. I think right now the bag is Xander. I think the bag is Xander right now.
Yeah,
there's no Bakhram don't even, man. Bakhram can't even sell out a Russian 7-Eleven. Straight up.
And imagine if Turkey Al-Sheikh hosted the show in Puerto Rico and was able to bring the whales to him. Like, it could be crazy. A lot bigger than the fight with Lubin.
That Xander got a network, man. People watch Xander. The thing is, man, we got to get Xander to fight in Chicago. That Virgil fight got to be in Chicago, because Chicago is split between Puerto Ricans and Mexicans. That would be crazy. The Latin Kings, they're going to be coming out. We're going to have the Mexican Mafia out there. Like, it's going to be crazy. I'm telling you, it's going to be wild, man. I'm telling you, they're going to have Modelo and Tecate beer all over the place. I'm not going to bet. I don't get down like that. But I'm just saying, from the TV, I'll be watching it from the TV safely in the comfort of my home, because I don't get down with that.
Well, the last time I seen something that crazy, there was a fighter by the name of my Vida Loca Johnny Tapia who fought a dude
Yeah,
named
Johnny was nasty.
Garcia. Bro, he was one of the best fighters I've ever seen. Like he was that
Yeah,
good.
Johnny
Like
was nasty.
I would put him against anybody in history. He was that good. Like a lot
I
of
don't know
people
about
who
that.
don't know. No,
You
I
know
just
that.
bro, you
Johnny
don't think
Tapia?
that yeah, you don't think he would have
Man,
had a you don't think that he would have been competitive with Inoue.
bro, Macho Camacho would have took that man down, man. Stop.
Bro, he was 122. What are we talking about? Macho Camacho fought at what? Lightweight, junior lightweight, welterweight. Johnny Tapia fought, I do believe, all the way up to 126 featherweight. Nah, Johnny Tapia was a beast, man. I
I
think
mean,
he
he
would
was,
go.
yeah.
I mean, bro, like
He
I
was,
believe he
yeah,
would.
yeah. I'm with you.
But in my opinion, if you put him up against Inoue, he would give him problems. Like Inoue is an amazing fighter and a generational great, but that's how highly I think of Johnny Tapia.
Nah, I mean, Johnny Tapia was good. It's just I think Macho, man, Macho Camacho had it going on, bro. I think Macho could have took him out, man. For real.
Bro, what weights did Macho fight at? I do believe he fought at lightweight. I do believe he fought at junior, welterweight, and welterweight. Like I remember him fighting Sugar Ray Leonard, correct?
Yeah, and he lost that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was way past his best. But I'm just saying, like when he was at his best, yes, he was the best. I'm not disagreeing at all. Like Macho Camacho is one of those guys that he's both entertaining and incredibly skilled. Like even when he stopped letting his hands go, he was still an incredibly technical and talented fighter. I have nothing bad to say about the Macho Man, but when you put resume to resume, even though they were both multi-world champions, like it's like Bam Rodriguez and Tank Davis. There is a clear difference in pedigree of the fighters that they fought because you do know that Bam Rodriguez took out 3 of the 4 kings. The only one he didn't take out was Roman Chocolatito. Like that says a lot about what he's capable of doing. A lot of people want to, say that he fought a bunch of old men, but I don't remember Sonny Edwards being old when he beat him at his own weight.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Macho was so marketable that's why we still talk about him and we don't talk about Johnny Tapia like that. Macho was marketable, bro. Like he had a highlight. Johnny Tapia had highlight. I'm not gonna say that. Johnny Tapia had, but there's just very few places. There's very few people, bro, that you can talk to that will like. You could bring up Macho anywhere and be like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what it is." Like, but you bring up Johnny Tapia, like who? And that dude that work at Fiesta Ranchera up the street. Yeah, it's different, man. I'm telling you, like the name weight is different. Look, we got a couple things. We gotta keep moving because you wanna give us boxing history, man. Like we gotta have some conversations. We're gonna wrap it up. I know Frank Sanchez about to fight F.A. Ajagba. That's been ordered by the IBF heavyweight title final eliminator. That's a final eliminator, I guess, for the IBF. That's a good fight, man. Frank Sanchez versus F.A. Ajagba. Yeah, F.A. Ajagba just beat. What's up?
Didn't Frankie Sanchez hand F.A. Ajagba his first defeat?
I believe this is
wrong.
Yeah, this is the get back. I'm about to find out. Hold on, Frank. This is the rematch.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Unless F.A. has
they already fought. They already fought, but this is the rematch.
Unless F.A. has upped his game, I'm going to say that it's going to be a repeat because.
But F.A. just beat who did he just? F.A. just beat somebody on a Riyadh season card, and I just forgot who that was, man.
Did he beat him or did he draw with?
I think he beat a Piccoli is who he beat, man.
No, I don't think he beat him. I think he drew with Piccoli. If I'm being real.
No. I know. I was
watching
it up real quick. Last F.A. I'm looking it up right now. He got one loss. Yeah, he beat let's see, man. Or am I thinking about another fighter? I don't know. Guido Vianello, he beat Martin Piccoli.
That was solid.
You're right. That was a draw.
Yeah, I know that's dumb.
That was a draw. Yeah.
I don't agree
Other
with
than
that at all.
he doesn't have. I mean, he lost to Frank Sanchez. Yeah, man. We'll see. The Cuban is really tough. So yeah, I think Frank is another one, man, that hasn't, like, he's gotten lost in the sauce. Like, we're not really talking about him. He hasn't, really popped off from a marketing standpoint. And it should. I think these Cuban fighters, it's nasty work that these Cuban fighters are not more popular than they are, because you got a fan base right there in Miami. There's Cubans all in Las Vegas, bro. Like, there's a bunch of them. There's getting some Cubans showing up here in Chicago. Like, they're all over. And it's the fact that you don't tap into, it's like me, bro. Look, I come from a financial advisory background, right? Financial advisory is commission based, right? So what you got to do, you got to build relationships. So I got to get a niche and tap into that niche as much as possible, so I can start to get people to know who I am, so I can start converting those into clients, right? As a fighter, you can't just fight and leave the promoting up to the promoter. You've also got to get a network, get a niche, start to tap in, do social media, get involved in podcasts. You've got to get marketable, bro, because oftentimes you can honestly get paid more as a non-champion if you market well than as a champion, which is wild to say, but it's the truth.
I agree with everything you just said. Like, it bothers me sometimes that these guys just, like Teofimo Lopez, I will not lie. He's had opportunity after opportunity to fight on Riyadh season, which, yeah, you can make the case he doesn't have the fan base to really be a hit, but you would get more eyeballs on you if you actually fought more often in different places. Like, look at Devin Haney, for example. He went to Australia. He beat George Kambosos. He gained a bit of a following in Australia. Like,
Sure.
that's the name of the game. And a lot of these guys just want to play it safe and be on home turf. And I think that's what's gotten us away from a lot of the greatness of the sport is that prize fighting means traveling usually. Like, a lot of the best fighters, look at Marvin Hagler. He had to travel around and fight everybody. You had guys like Muhammad Ali, who even went to England, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like, a lot of these dudes are great, not because they've won every fight, but because they were able to go to another man's country and get the belt. 9 times out of 10, nowadays, people just want to play it safe. They get Teofimo won an incredible fight against the unbeaten Josh Taylor, but everybody knows that Jack Catterall, by all rights, should have been champion. I'm not saying that Jack had a fair shake in life, but it is what it is. Like, I'm glad that he moved on and is fighting in more eliminators to get another title shot. But once Teo got a hold of that belt, what has he done since then? Like, I do believe that Ortiz, one of the worst fights I've ever seen, he had a title defense against Ortiz. He had a title defense against Claggett. He had, he hasn't been looking amazing ever since then. But, and even
Well, he
then,
just
like,
beat he beat Barboza. I mean, yeah, Barboza was a world contender, but he beat who they put in front of him. So I think, and I believe the Shakur fight is coming. So, bro, WBO world champ. And from what I understand, bro, he brought Bud, was it Miller Lite or Bud Light back to top rank, back to, like, he was the one. He was sponsored by one of those, Budweiser and Miller Lite. Man, we haven't seen Budweiser and Miller Lite sponsor boxing since the 90s. He brought that.
And here's the thing. I do rate that win against Barboza, because if I have to give Jack Catterall the credit, then I have to give Barboza the credit, don't I? Because he beat him.
Exactly.
So that's the frustrating part about Teofimo, though. Like, he's had opportunities to unify with Matias when he had the belt. He didn't want to do it. He had opportunities to fight other champions at the weight. He'd rather fight Claggett. I was always frustrated with Teofimo because he would struggle with a guy like Club. And I'm not being mean, but it's a fact that Claggett was a club fighter. He had 7 losses on his record against no names. And he went in there and put on a pretty damn good performance, if you ask me. And I apologize once again for my language, but point I'm making is that as much as I really want that Shakur Stevenson fight, because I think Shakur is skilled enough to beat him, let's be real. He's not going to do something that's not going to benefit him the most, Because remember, when he had that title defense against George Kambosos, he drugged that out so long that George was able to come up with a good game plan to beat him and take his titles from him in arguably his backyard. Like, I know it was a Vegas fight, but bro, you're not even supposed to, have your belts taken from you in your home country. It was terrible. I remember
Man.
that fight like it was yesterday.
Ryan said, Kevin talking like these Cubans gonna be outside with Mr. Trump locking up everyone. Man, these Cubans better be outside. They're citizens. Like once you get here, apparently, you got citizenship. It's not like they can just ship you off. So you better be outside. You must not never been to Miami, bro. If you've not been to Miami and you have not seen how these Cubans act up and take over the city and riot and protest, you need to go to Miami so you can see how they get down. Like they got a lot of courage over here that they don't have in Cuba because of the rights. So, tap in, man. Get them Cubans to come to boxing and watch boxing and whatnot, man. Tap into the market. Like have them protest for you. Have them stand outside on the corners and whatnot where they selling waters at, and hand out some cue cards or some promotional cards or something. Do something, shoot, man. Yeah, do something, shoot.
I'm so sorry, Kev, but I really have to push back on that, bro.
Why?
You got to understand, because the reason why it's so difficult for a Cuban fighter to get a fair shake in this country is because some of the best talent is on the islands. And when I mentioned Yuriorkis Gamboa earlier, I forgot to mention that he is stuck in Cuba because the government refuses to allow him to leave. He's
in Cuba right now, Gamboa?
Yeah, he's not allowed to leave. The government will not let him leave because he got into a fatal car accident with a civilian in Cuba. And unfortunately, the person passed, but he wasn't drunk or anything. Gamboa don't drink. He don't do drugs. He lives a clean fighter. He lives a very clean life. But the government in Cuba refuses to allow him to leave, so he cannot continue his career. And other fighters like David Morrell had as a manager who was a truck driver who saw his potential when he was fighting in Cuba, because I don't believe they have professional boxing in Cuba. They come here to America. So he had to take what he could get to where he is today. Like David Morrell didn't have like the best path to success. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these Cubans, they are hampered by the fact that they have to go to other countries to get recognized.
Ryan, if you got availability, hop on, man, because you talking crazy. Boy, them dudes might not have no papers. Bro, there is literally a law that says like once Cubans land on the mainland, like that's it, automatic citizen, they get asylum. So they can't ship them back because they know that if they ship them back, they might get killed. It's betrayal. So, bro, I'm telling you, if you've not been to Miami, you don't know. But as much as those Cubans are out there, like, selling dollar water bottles and bananas and stuff on the corners, man, King Kong or one of these Cuban boxers that's coming up, put a couple cue cards, put a little bit a 4x6 card in their hands. Hey, man, pass these out and pass them out at corners. Like, you got to do guerrilla marketing, man. Forget the papers, man. Forget all that. Well, you do make a point, but I mean, no, you still gotta. No, man, I'm fighting. I'm marketing.
I need Luis Ortiz to retire, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I need Luis Ortiz to retire.
I need him to come back. I need him to do another run.
Bro, you don't know what you're talking about, bro.
I need him to do another run.
No, you don't know what you're talking about, bro.
No.
He literally he had to petition the New York State Athletic Commission to allow him to fight because he was on blood pressure medication, bro.
Man, forget the blood pressure medication, man. Bro, I need you to come back, put it all on the line, man. Come back, bro, put it on the line, get you a bag, promote, and just put on. Hey, man, you only get one life, man. Why are you worried about blood pressure pills?
You're absolutely right. You get one life, bro. I don't want him to lose it in the ring. Come on, now.
Bro, God got him. God got him. He gonna be all right, man. Hey, just take the blood pressure pills before you jump in the ring. You're gonna be all right.
Problem is that you do that, you might end up in a fatality, bro. You never know. These heavyweight fights are ruling for these guys. Like
low blood pressure never kill nobody.
Yes, it did. Are you crazy? You could get a heart attack from blood pressure, bro.
Has that happened? Tell me a fighter that died from
Yes.
blood pressure, Will. Tell me a fighter.
There was this one African fighter. He
that's how you know he can't be. You know, there was this one African fighter.
you seen the video. He was punching at air. Bro, he was fighting. He was punching at air in a corner. There wasn't a fighter. He literally walked off from the fight.
Blood pressure. I saw that.
He had a blood clot. He had a blood clot that dislodged, and it caused him to see things that weren't there, and then he died from his injuries. Like,
that wasn't from high blood pressure. They didn't say it was from high blood pressure.
Bro, where you think the bloodstream comes from? It's from the blood pressure. Like, bro, he was getting beat so bad he had a blood clot that dislodged. Like,
yeah, but
got into his brain.
King Kong is on medication. He gonna be all right. That blood pressure is gonna come.
No,
he can go.
There could be complications.
Matter of fact, we put him with Usyk. I don't think Usyk can handle him. I don't think Usyk can handle King Kong, respectfully, because I don't think he can handle King Kong.
Respectfully, you don't lose to Deontay Wilder twice from the same punch and tell me that he could go toe-to-toe with Alex. Bro, he beat a younger, fresher Daniel Dubois in the same amount of time that Daniel Dubois beat Anthony Joshua in a fight that he was favored to lose in front of 90,000 people at Wembley. You cannot tell me that Usyk wouldn't have any issues with an older Luis Ortiz, because while he may be a southpaw himself, Usyk is not a stranger to fighting southpaws.
Usyk don't got that bazooka like Wilder does. So King Kong gonna be straight. He gonna pivot and give him angles, and just like Usyk give him angles, he gonna give him angles and and he's heavy-handed. He's bigger. Yeah, he might put Usyk down, man. He might. This might be it. If he's ever gonna become a world champ, he got a petition for Usyk.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, Usyk is one of the greatest fighters of this entire generation, because you are not going to tell me there are many names that you can think of that won a title in every. He won a title in other countries. Every single title he ever won was overseas. He never won a title in his home country ever.
Man, now, you, King Kong
cannot make that claim because he's a Cuban. He has to travel for his titles. He never beat Wilder. He never beat Andy Ruiz. Like, this dude, you could say I'm not saying he's not good. I will never say that the dude who became a contender more than once is a bad fighter, but I'm not going to say that he's beaten Usyk. At 38 years old, he beat a younger, fresher Daniel Dubois in the same amount of times that Daniel Dubois beat Anthony Joshua. And that's saying a lot, bro. Look at Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero had the same odds as Hasim Rahman versus Lennox Lewis going into that fight. And guess what? He walked away the victor. That was so cool. I was so happy that I stayed up for that.
Sure.
Bro.
But we're going to wrap it up, man. We're going to wrap it up. I got to dip. Give me some breakfast, man. I ain't even ate breakfast yet. And you out here with conspiracy theories. You know King Kong going to beat that man Usyk. Stop playing with me.
I feel it, but no, it was good talking to you. I'm glad that we had this conversation.
Most def. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Make sure you hit me up on X at Capital with Kev, on Instagram at Capital with Kevin. Make sure you follow iBoxing Hub. Make sure you subscribe over there. Get on D-Rock. IBOXINGHUB-24. I'd be forgetting the discount code. IBOXINGHUB-24. Make sure you use that discount every Friday. Kappa Factz Friday. Next week, we will return to our normal time, which should be 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Will, I appreciate you. Go ahead and shout yourself out.
All right, man. Have a good day.
All right, bro. Take care. Peace.
Another band. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. I start my card with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. So, it's another one, yeah. It's a full strong, yeah. Oh, it's another one, yeah.